Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Rightway Options, and this is the morning market prep video for April 22nd, 2025. I apologize, I'm going to go a little bit quick here in the beginning of this video. I have done this twice now. For some reason, I keep having an internet blink and it continues to mess up the video. So we're going to go through this pretty quickly. If we take a look at what happened overnight, Asian markets, well, a little bit mixed, but kind of modest in their moves up and down. Australia Nikkei was slightly lower, with South Korea slightly lower. India, Hong Kong, and Shanghai were looking higher. Hong Kong having the best response, up 168 points. If we take a look at European markets this morning, European markets are mostly lower, with the DAX this morning down 97 points, FTSE up 15 points, and the CAC down 25 points. Taking a look at U.S. futures this morning, all positive in green. We've got the Dow futures up 311 points. NASDAQ futures are looking up 166 points, and the S&P 500 futures up 47 points. If we take a quick look at oil, well, we've got oil trying to move up just a little bit here this morning. We've got oil futures up 92 cents a barrel at 63.33 a barrel. Brent crude is just slightly higher this morning as well, up 92 cents at 67.18 a barrel. And natural gas, trying to get something going here, just a little bit on the green side in the futures, 0.6 cents. We've got UNG not showing a lot of bullishness here yet at the moment. If we take a look at the US dollar here this morning, US dollar trying to catch a little bit of bounce after that pretty ugly move yesterday. Right now, dollar futures up 15 cents here this morning. And if we take a look at our bonds here this morning, our bond yields kind of mixed here on the day. The 2-year bond is at 3.81%. The 10-year bond is at 4.43%, and that 30-year bond moving up to 4.91%. Taking a look at oil, if we take a look at XLE moving higher here this morning. Just barely, because we have that oil pushing to the upside. We'll want to be keeping an eye on that. And if we take a look at cryptos here this morning, we've got Bitcoin moving pretty nicely this morning, following through with that bullishness yesterday, up $1,231 a coin. We've got Ether also moving up here this morning, up $51 a coin, with green across the board right now in those cryptocurrencies. If we take a look at our precious metals, well, we're not getting any slowing down here just yet. Right now, gold is up $41.50 an ounce at $3,466 an ounce. That'd be news if gold was at 4,000, but it's headed there at the moment. So really strong there in gold. Silver is also up here this morning. We've got silver up $13 an ounce at $32.65 an ounce and looking bullish. Copper is also trying to move up just a little tiny bit. Nice little platform to pop from, but big resistance above there in copper. And we've got platinum and palladium up as well this morning, although palladium had a really rough day yesterday. It is trying to move just slightly higher this morning. So what does all that mean for the day? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Tuesday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thanks so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. Let's take a look at these index charts. Remember, we want to shake off that bias. We don't want to be doing overly speculation in here, particularly with the volatility that we have, but we do want to look at all the potentials where the market could go and set our tone for the day, how aggressive we want to be in trading. Let's take a look here at the diamonds. You can see diamonds trying to push up. Now we have that little hint. I was talking about that yesterday, that possibility that we could catch a bounce. We sure didn't do it yesterday, catch any kind of a bounce. But we still have that possibility here now that we may catch that little higher low here in the chart. But don't rule out the possibility that that higher low could turn into, well, this little bounce here this morning could turn into an intraday reversal and we come back down and retest these lows. I still think that's a possibility. But if those bulls can get going here in the chart, holding on to this little bit of support right in here, we've got a big resistance level in price action right here in front of us in the chart. And if we take a look at our moving averages, we're going to push back up toward that 500-day moving average. So we've got some work here to do to get any kind of a relief rally going. It's certainly possible, and I'm going to be rooting for the fact that we get a little bit more of a relief back up in the charts. But let's keep in mind that even if we do get a relief back up, we've still got a lot of work to do to get through some of these resistance areas in the chart, and that's just getting back to this overall downtrend here in the diamonds, and keeping in mind that the bigger downtrend is still out here. So we've still got some work to do, and so don't assume we're just going to zoom all the way back to the top. If the bears have anything to say, I would suggest a retest of the low if those bears get anything going here, and if that were to fail, then I would watch for the complete push down here to retest these lows and that possible double bottom in the market. Let's take a look at our SPY. The SPY, better chance of a little higher low, I think. And yesterday we came down here and we tested this area of price support right in through here. Tested it, and by the end of the day we started pushing this back up pretty nicely, and we're trying to follow through this morning. So if we get the chance here of a little bit of relief rally to the upside, I think SPY could give us some of those clues. Now you want to keep in mind, as we push up, we've got a fairly significant level of price action resistance right in here. So as we push through, watch that carefully as we approach that area. We need to get enough good data to maybe pop through there, and then we can start progressing up through these areas of the chart. Remember, still to this day, we have not been able to get back above that big reversal candle here, and we're going to have to get that done here eventually if we're going to see that bullishness really come in. So watch these areas up here. This could be a very significant area of price resistance in the chart right up in here. So watch that closely. Now if we take a look at our moving averages, really nice hold of that 500-day moving average, and the bounce back up here. But let's keep in mind, we're still below our T line. Our major moving averages are still in a very bearish condition. So there's nothing here that says we're bullish, just that hope of a little bit of relief rally. Now if those bears were to have anything to say, I would say a retest of that 500-day could be possible, but a breakdown below there, I think that would suggest that possibility that we could come down and retest our lows here in the SPY. So watch that carefully. Our QQQ, the old NASDAQ, also had a nice bounce in here yesterday, pushing back up, giving us that hope of a relief. And if the bulls can follow through with that, once again, we need to start breaking back through some of these fairly significant areas of price resistance. If we can push back up through these levels, you can see we've got additional work to do to get back up here. And once again, we still have not been able to breach that big reversal candle day here in the market. So watch that carefully, keeping in mind that we've got quite a little price resistance in the chart, and of course that downtrend in here. So this would be, at this point, nothing more than a relief rally, although the higher low would be a welcome thing to see us follow through on. If those bears have anything more to say, a retest of yesterday's lows and then pushing on down through here would likely suggest we retest the lows here in the market. Now, keeping in mind, if we take a look at our moving averages, grabbing onto that 500-day moving average here at the close was a really good move. Still below our T-line, and their technicals in the chart are terrible. So please keep in mind, if we rally, it's nothing more than a relief rally at the moment. And last but not least, IWM, that Russell, holding in there probably better than all the markets yesterday. Still in this kind of consolidating zone here in IWM. So if we can get some bullishness coming in here, what we need to see is we need to see that pop through that top side of that price action resistance. See if we can push up there and test the top of that reversal candle. And if we can, then we start progressing up here toward the downtrend. Now, please keep in mind that IWM is still a very sick puppy. Way below its 500-day moving average, and our 50 is coming close to crossing down through that 200-day moving average. And with the idea of tech earnings starting to come up, IWM may suffer from just anemia, just not having enough volume to be able to get it going because there'll be so much focus on tech. Now, if the bears have anything to say here on IWM, I would look for a retest of yesterday's lows, this little price action support area in here, and if that were to fail, then we might start coming down and testing some of these additional areas before progressing all the way back to a retest of those lows. If we take a look at our VIX here, our VIX had a little bit of an increase yesterday. Again, a little bit of that fear coming in here. This is a logical place for it to have bounced. We'll have to watch that pretty closely. With the bullishness today, I would suggest this is going to pull back and possibly test this area of support. Now, if that area of support gives up and we see those bulls push on through, fear will start to decline. We can get back below those 30 handles in the VIX. Maybe we'll see those bid-ask spreads clean up a little bit. Maybe a little bit of relief rally can help things calm down just a little bit in the market. The bulls would have to push pretty hard to start pushing this back down into this region of the chart, but it's certainly possible if they can get some really good data coming in on the day. Now, remember, if the bears have anything to say and we were to reverse this back up, we've got a little bit of price action resistance right in there to be watching, but every reason to believe we could pop back up, retest this high over here in that high close in the VIX up there around 40 handles. So watch that carefully. Our T20s, our T2122 had quite a decline yesterday, falling pretty hard, and you can see at one point in time we had dipped down here into the bullish reversal zone. So that gives us that maybe hopefulness of a little bit of relief coming in. But one thing I think is pretty notable, notice we didn't have any kind of a hook over here to give us that help for that potential move to the upside. And the reason I'm bringing that up is what that might mean is if we were to whipsaw today, gap up here this morning and whipsaw back down, we could be back down in this area pretty easily this morning. So watch that carefully. We still have downside potential in our T2122. But if those bulls can follow through and get that energy here to the upside, well, we've got plenty of upside room for a nice recovery in the market, in hopes And some of these big tech reports could certainly help us move through to a little bit of relief in the market. Well, at least until the earnings reports, I think there's a lot of question as to what some of these big tech earnings reports are going to look like and what their guidance is going to be. If we take a look at our T2108, our T2108 pulled back yesterday, but here's the thing, after moving so strongly lower in the indexes yesterday, well, it really didn't hurt T2108 that much. We did pull back and we did lose a little bit of the price support right in here, but notice we're nowhere near where we were in the lows of the market. So we still have that pretty good opportunity with this push back up. Maybe we can push back up and retest some of these areas and maybe even push a little bit higher and see if we can get up through some of this congestion in the chart up through 20% right over here, and then we can get closer up in this area. Remember, we still have this downtrend in here. We could run into a little bit of a double whammy up there around 25%, but getting 25% of our stocks back above their 40-day moving average would certainly be nice. Of course, if the bears have anything to say, you can see we've got some support down here for them to maybe test. T2107, percentage of stocks above the 200-day moving average, also pulled back yesterday, but again, not as much as you would expected. You can see if we can hold this area in here today with that nice pop, we might be right back up here testing that resistance in the chart and continuing to push on through to those next levels. Keep in mind we still have that downtrend in here, but we could easily push up into that 25% of this area here in the chart. With those bulls giving a good shove here today. So watch carefully. We'll see how these earnings come out this morning, whether or not we'll be able to maintain that bullishness or not. And then remember, if the bears have anything to say, well, we've got a little bit of price support in here that might catch us. We would not necessarily have to come all the way back down for that relief rally to begin. Our T2101, this I thought was really important yesterday, and why I kept leaning into the idea of a relief rally. And the reason is with that huge amount of selling that we saw yesterday, I want you to notice that the breadth of the market did not improve. The bears didn't have breadth. It was a very, very controlled, slow sell-off yesterday. It was if the market was just trying to make a point. It was pretty darn controlled. So watch that carefully here. Breadth did not follow those bears. So let's see if we can get breadth to follow the bulls this morning. If the bulls are going to push to the upside, we need to see a little bit of that breadth coming in on the bullish side of the market. So watch that carefully here today. We do not want to see, as the bulls push back in, that breadth to continue to fall. That doesn't give us a whole lot of warm and fuzzy on those bulls. Let's take a look at our economic calendar here for today. In our economic calendar, we've got a few things to be paying attention to, but overall, it's a pretty light day on the calendar. We've got Fed speakers here this morning. We've got a Richmond Fed manufacturing number expected to come in. Consensus is suggesting a negative 0.5. I got to tell you, I think that probably is going to miss bigger than that, but that's just my guess. Last time was a negative 0.4, so watch that carefully on Richmond Fed manufacturing numbers. And not that it'll matter. It's remarkable. We just don't seem to care about manufacturing anymore. If we take a look, we've got a 6-week bill auction, we've got a 2-year note auction, we've got money supply here this afternoon, some Fed speak, and even into the evening, and that's going to be the day. Now, keeping in mind, as you plan forward, we're going to pick up a little bit more on market moving news tomorrow with mortgage apps, some Fed speak, a PMI flash number, a new home sales number, which could be market moving, Atlanta Fed business inflation expectations, petroleum status, some bond auctions, and the beige book in here with some after the bell conversation from the Fed. So keep an eye on that. Let's take a look at what we've got going on in our earnings calendar today. In our earnings calendar, well, it's getting busy, y'all. We're really starting to pick up on these reports. So this morning, just pause that video, take a screenshot if you would like to grab the notables here for today, because I'm not going to be able to cover them all. The video would be too long, but keep an eye on those quite a few reports here today. Let's take a look at a few here this morning. 3M reporting here today, trying to bounce. A nice little double W bottom formation could be forming in here. And when I say W, I'm trying to display that. So watch that carefully on 3M, trying to bounce up here this morning on earnings. Let's take a look at GE. GE's trying to hold in there on earnings reports. Watch that carefully if it can hold the higher low. Kimberly-Clark reporting today. It's going south, breaking down from that lower high and downtrend in the chart. Not looking very good at the moment. Lockheed Martin reporting today. I'm not sure it's reported just yet. Watch that carefully. It's got that potential setup, and if we can get this bullish, it may join some of the other aerospace and defense pushing higher here in the market. NOC. NOC not doing good here this morning. Northrop missing pretty badly apparently and getting punished, and you can see breaking down from here. So not looking good there in Northrop. We've got RTX also in that area, but it's holding up so far. Still in a potential lower high pattern here, but watch that carefully on RTX. And how about Verizon? Let's take a look at what Verizon said this morning. Verizon feeling a little bit on the bearish side, pushing on down, potential downtrend now in play here on Verizon. So watch that carefully. Let's take a look at a few stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, if you could do me this quick favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, if you could please click that subscribe button on YouTube and also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find these videos to be useful or helpful, if you could do me that favor, click that thumbs up button, leave a brief comment. That helps the channel to continue to grow. Thank you so much for everyone who takes the time to do that. I do truly, truly appreciate it. Now, before I dive into stocks that could be setting up for today, I've been talking an awful lot about live trading alerts here recently, and I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. My good friend, Ed Carter, we talked about this, and what I'm going to do, and by the way, I'm not going to be making any money on this. There's no money exchanging hands on this. There's nothing that I benefit from when you talk about live trading alerts. So this is just because I believe so strongly in the software that I am running ads on my Facebook and things like that here for live trading alerts. And I want you to notice in here that I'm going to leave a link in the morning prep video just below the title of the video. If anyone has been waiting to maybe think about wanting to be a part of Rightway Options, this is a way that you can do it free. First off, become a subscriber to Live Trading Alerts, and if you become a subscriber to Live Trading Alerts, I'm going to give away a full free 30 days to Rightway Options. So think about that carefully here. You can see these ads running on my Facebook and things like that, so watch that carefully. 30 days free of Live Trading Alerts. So you might want to take a look at that, and you get live trading alerts and a free month of Rightway Options. We can help you learn how to use it and show you how effective it is. So there you go. There's a big opportunity for you to get both services, and one of them free. Let's take a look at what we've got going on here in some of these stocks that's setting up. Remember, everyone, these are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. You need to do your own due diligence, be very, very careful in this market, and make sure you're planning these trades very carefully. Because of the volatility, it's still going to be very, very challenging. Even if we rally, look for big whipsaws to occur. First off, let's take a look at Consolidated Edison here. I placed a price alert here on Consolidated Edison. One of the things that we have been seeing with the uncertainty of the market is we've been seeing some pretty good moves in utilities. As a matter of fact, if I take a look at XLU, we were trying to break this downtrend here until yesterday. We got a little bit of a pushback here yesterday, but Consolidated Edison still looking pretty good, and I'm watching this potential that this may pop on through my alert there. So keep an eye on Consolidated Edison. Not looking too bad. I would continue to keep an eye here on Monster. Now, Monster tried gapping down here this morning, but look at this big push back up, rejecting this morning's low. Watch for that possibility that Monster may be able to push right on through here to the upside. And we are seeing some strength in some of these defensive sector stocks. So Monster, good dividend pair, maybe pushing on through here to the upside. Keep a close eye on that. Now, Coke is another one in that same arena, showing lots and lots of bullishness, pushing through up here. Little rest, little consolidation started to happen in here. Watch carefully for that opportunity that Coke may push right on through here to the upside. Worth paying attention to at least. And then if we take a look at some of the grocery areas out there, my goodness, Kroger has been really strong here, just pushing through to the upside. It is in that defensive sector area of the chart, looking very good. So a nice stretch. I wouldn't chase it at the moment, but any rest or pullback could set up that opportunity. KHC yesterday. Now this is still going to be in question. This comes up for earnings on the 29th. But it's also been pushing up in that defensive sector, heading toward those earnings. Watch this carefully as we approach that area. I think I would wait until after earnings, to be honest, to maybe take a crack at this, if it can break through this big area of resistance. But it is worth keeping on a list. Take a look at General Dynamics. General Dynamics in that aerospace defense area, still holding in a bullish pattern here. You can see pushing through resistance. We'll see how these earnings affect it today with RTX and, of course, Northrop Grumman and LMT. But watch that carefully. If this holds in here, I see that opportunity that could push on through, breaking through this resistance and moving back up in the chart. Worth taking a look at. If we were to take a look at some other areas of the market, we cannot go wrong at the moment by looking at some gold and gold miners. Now, GDX pulled back a little bit yesterday and then bounced right back up. Keep an eye on that. Take a look at Barrick Gold. That's holding strong. KGC, PAAS. A lot of miners looking very, very strong here in the market, worth paying close attention to, and that possibility that they may just keep on moving to the upside. Back to the defensive sector, take a look at Constellation Brands. Constellation Brands trying to deal with this big resistance. This is quite a bottoming pattern setting up in here, and if that can push on through, I would watch that carefully for that opportunity there on Constellation. MDLZ, Mondelez, another one of those pressing resistance. Going to report on the 29th again, so you might want to watch that carefully, but watch that carefully. Mondelez still trying to perk up in the charts. Now, when we take a look at some of the big tech, Boy, it's a pretty rough slog here to get things going to the upside. Amazon really pretty ugly here. Not quite testing these lows down here. If we can get our little relief rally in here, you might want to look at something in the bull put credit spread arena, maybe something in the ratio spread, and see if we can get a bounce off of this area of price support. We were actually looking at a couple of those yesterday in Rightway Options. Not here in Amazon, but we were looking at things like Apple to maybe see if we can catch a little bit of relief to the upside. We were laying out some spreads down in here. This is a ratio spread trade, trying to catch a little bit of relief to the upside. So look to some of those. We might get some relief in here, but it may be nothing more than that as we wait for these earnings coming up. So watch that carefully on some of these big techs. They are still in a technical shorting pattern. When we look at things like Google, boy, there is nothing bullish about that chart just yet. The only thing you can have is that hope here that it's so oversold that it can catch a little bit of relief going into earnings. But I think there's some big questions on how these companies are going to report. They may report well but guide lower, so just be careful in some of these big tech giants heading into earnings. Take a look at some of the major discounters out there in the market. They're looking pretty good. Take a look at Dollar Tree breaking through resistance, continuing to follow through yesterday to the upside. I would look at a little rest or pullback in there, might set up an opportunity. I think that trend is probably somewhere along there. So let that rest back into here and then look for that next opportunity. Dollar General still looking good, pushing through yesterday. Any rest or pullback there might set up an opportunity. If you take a look at Five Below, it is coming up off of the bottom. Nowhere near super bullish in here, but maybe we can push up towards some of these resistance areas in the chart. Watch that carefully. If the rest of the market starts coming around, that might come around. Of course, Walmart is also a discounter, and it is setting up in a very bullish pattern. Look for that opportunity for that to maybe push on through and start maybe lifting up, heading in toward earnings there on the 15th of next month. And then last but not least, take a look at Ross Stores. Another discounter. Had a pretty rough day of volatility. That's quite a recovery in here yesterday. So if that recovery holds, and you can see we're trying to get a little bit of follow through here this morning, look at that opportunity that this may hold in here and bounce, and you can see our trend somewhere out in here. That would constitute a test of that trend. You might just see that opportunity, that hooking on higher to the upside. So watch that carefully on Ross. So with that, everyone, hey, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. I want to wish you great results in your trading. I will leave a link just below the title of the video for the live trading alerts offer and a free month of RWO if you have an interest in that, just below the title of the video. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. I want to wish you all a fantastic day, and I will see you right back here bright and early Wednesday morning. Wish you all the best.